I'm settled in up here in Fort McMurray. Had a long day, but it's all finished, and I want to go through the news as it's terrible, terrible. I left Alberta this morning, jumped on an airplane, and during that flight, a short flight, a little over an hour, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, the public sector federal employees union across Canada, all met at the opening hours, wee hours of the morning, to craft a deal without, and I repeat, without the vote of the union members themselves. A union that is the largest, a union that goes right across Canada, every province, every territory. They were given no right to vote. Why? Why the news went dead Sunday? Why everybody's quiet? Then first thing Monday morning, literally, just as everybody's waking up going to work, miraculously the union settled. Where's the employees' vote? Now, the mass majority of the affiliates of that union in federal workings for federal employees were forced to sign, meaning their leadership signed without the vote of the members, which was not to happen. Folks, why did that happen? Why is nobody talking about that? That literally the largest union, most employees right across Canada, didn't get a vote on back to work accepting the contract. Like all organizations would, right? Wouldn't matter if it was a corporation or a union. When you want to make a decision of that magnitude, i.e., let's have a strike vote, you had a vote to have a strike, you have a vote to end the strike and accept the government's offer, which nobody wanted to do. None of the employees wanted to do. And even in fact, there were still 30,000 at least across Canada who assembled to rally and were shut down at around 10 a.m. The people did not want to stop, not the employees. They wanted inflation. It was supposed to be their decision, but it never happened because Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, and the union knew that they were putting the ball in Pierre Poilievre's court to vote no to Trudeau back to work legislation, which, folks, because it's a federal union taking federal monies from the consolidated fund, becomes a budgetary issue, and without people working, you've lost confidence, which currently in Canadian law is between the minority Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his Liberals and the deal-making New Democratic Party. But there's just one problem. They screwed up. New Democrats can't breach their number one base. So what did they do? They contacted the union president first thing 8 a.m. with Justin Trudeau and said, there will be no vote. You accept that contract, we move on. Or there's going to be a Pierre Poilievre, Prime Minister of Canada, possibly as early as 6 weeks. And they made a deal. They said, we don't care about democracy. We don't care at all in any way, shape, or form. Justin Trudeau told us to force our hundreds of thousands of members without their right to vote, without their legal right to freedom of association. It was taken away at 8 a.m. No member voted. They took it away so that Pierre Poilievre wouldn't have a chance to vote no to back to work legislation because Trudeau already made a mistake. And Jagmeet Singh washed away his mistake. Now, there were still a lot of people who assembled to strike and went out, but they were immediately shut down within 2 hours. It was completely dissipated, as in the union made a deal. What was the deal? 10%. A few unions got some variations, but not a one. I repeat, not one of those unions got matching inflation. Who talks about it today? Are you guys ready for the far left hemispheres, Russia and China? And it's a website devoted to Leninist Marxism, the only website that wrote about it. You can go look at the author, the World Socialist website, WSWS, which is sponsored by all the Marxist, Leninist, communist countries. You have Russia there. It's a civil law socialist. You have China there. You have Cuba there. We can go on and on and on. So all the extreme socialist countries wrote up a good report today on Canada's BS. Yes, they do. They talk about how the warmonger Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, who are both equally voting for more war, more conflict, divide the world, West and Eastern narratives. They go on to talk about the autocracy, the crown, and they go on to talk about the violation of the striking union, Canada's largest union. It wasn't small. I think over 200,000 folks across Canada were shut down with the word of a voice and the corruption of a union president representing the largest workforce in Canada. Whether we like that or not, they struck it down. It's colonial. It's absolute autocracy. It gets right into the national socialist, nationalist, fascist. That's what they do. Silence all the voices. I am the supreme lord, Justin Trudeau over all of you. I don't allow you to negotiate. I don't believe in freedom of association. We saw it on the far right reaches. Now we see it on the far left reaches. They shut everybody down. Where was Pierre Poilievre, folks? Pierre Poilievre clearly, as I've shared for you for many days leading up to this, go contact your conservatives. Where was Pierre Poilievre? Why did he not speak out about it, folks? This was the only opportunity, clearly, where you had NDP pushed in a corner and Liberals in the opposite corner. Where was Pierre Poilievre today? He didn't care that his only chance for earlier usurpage of Prime Minister, he didn't care. He met with his own Sikhs in Ontario. And we're going to get into some really crazy details. This is from Russia and China. And it's true. When you start reading the reports, folks, have you heard of the Human Growth Index? Have you heard of the Human Poverty Index? Have you heard of all of these things? Well, when we go through it and we place India versus Russia, China, you start to see truths. And we're talking populations here. We always go China versus India. Okay? These are two countries in the world, relatively equal size, relatively equal populations. They're both over 1 billion people. They're both very populous. Now, India's closing in on taking over China. They're wrestling for 1.3 billion people right now today. But do you know what the human index in education, health, and all of that, when you look at those two countries, China clearly, by all Western measuring sticks, with a population almost equivalent to India's now today, has taken over India's Human Development Index, Human Success Indexes, all the index markers. Clearly, China has doubled India. India is a third world country. China is a second world country, closing in on first world status. It remains to be seen, but you will never find a country with 1 billion people to ever come close. When you look at all of Africa, their index is much lower, and there's democratic republics, but 770 million people. China clearly outpaces India in all markers. What is the difference between China and India? What's called caste system, medieval caste. India's constitution, while they were freed in 1948, remained in caste. You can go look it up. The pyramid scheme of first, second, third, and savage class. They also adopted deep religious principles in a relatively new religious faction that took over. And I'm not here to slam religions, but when you take the employer as your god and you build a caste system out of employers, guess what you get? You get the highest or nearly highest human suffering indexes in the world. Poverty, go through all of it, human condition. We look at other developmental indexes like education, health, all these good markers. India's one of the worst countries in the entire world. In the entire world. And you can attribute that to key religious groups out of India, key markers out of India, and you can attribute it to the caste system that is clearly from the old British Empire, never amended. Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, all like that system. In their system, there's no rights of the people, none whatsoever. There's only the superior human beings in first class, and then second class, and then third class, and then a savage class. And those people don't live with very good human rights at all. People work for literally nothing. Businesses, domestic, small business owners suffer. Only very wealthy, large corporations, if they can get there. There's no competition. It's who you know and who you were born into knowing and how much you do for the first class in your faith. That's who Pierre Poilievre was with today. Now, Justin Trudeau's got the same people all around him, including Jagmeet Singh. Today, Pierre Poilievre, instead of speaking about what transpired, the outrageous system that just befell all Canadians, you got cheated out of throwing Justin Trudeau out of office. Pierre Poilievre had nothing to say. Mum's the word here. In fact, I'm going to meet with the world's best source of caste system, the worst example, and I'm going to spend the day with them, talk about the lions of industry and how great and wonderful. Let me tell you all Canadians something super shocking that was left out of all media today. Did you know, and I found this from, yes, Russia and China's socialist website, where they go into it in great detail. And sure enough, I go through it and I found it. Did you know that the federal employees in telework, call Revenue Canada, call for your passport, call for government services, we all have to do it. And guess who you get? Somebody from India. Yes, someone who's working on their permanent residency, who gets average of $3 a day, is now made into that contract. Yes, Canadians, we're killing ourselves. Our government is replacing us, and yes, they're destroying us. They just put down democracy of the Canadian largest union. Whether you like it or not, they took away their democracy, their right to associate, their right to a strike, and a right to a fair deal, took it away. Said there'll be none of that here. Justin Trudeau doesn't negotiate with what he terms terrorists, just like, exactly like, the Freedom Convoy folks, left or right. What did Pierre Poilievre have to say? The biggest news of the day. Not a word. He went and spent it with the Ontario Sikhs. Sorry, excuse me, a tickle. That is what's happening to Canada. We are being destroyed. Pierre had nothing to say. Trudeau and Singh swept under the rug like it's no big deal. We took 250,000 people nearly and removed their rights to any democratic vote. We took it away. We'll tell you how it's going to be, and we'll stay in power in a coalition as long as we want to. Doesn't matter that we screwed up. Doesn't matter we own the media. We saw the media go mum's the word. Quiet all Sunday. If you don't report, you don't have to tell people the truth I shared with you. If Pierre Poilievre doesn't talk about it, nobody's going to hear about it. It's all gone, but you can all look it up yourself, and you'll find that this federal action by federal employees and the back to work legislation that would have had to go, and clearly we saw this morning, at least some media showed you that people did assemble to strike today, but were shot down. And it was quickly going through the ranks. You've been ordered back to work. Nothing to see here. You have no democracy. You don't get to vote because the employees would have voted no. They lost. Clearly, on that socialist website, you get to see from all the Marxist-Leninists, all the communists, all the civil law socialists, they explain it to you in great detail. Whether you like them or not, or their system, it's the truth that they report. They tell you all the players, they know them all. They know all those socialist players that were Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh. They tell you the gross violation of everything they claim to be, that they're not. Folks, the world has communism because it was born out of caste systems, constitutional monarchies. First, second, third class, and savage class. They've been largely ruled, deemed to be illegal. World War II was the fight of all constitutional monarchies in their age-old colonialism. Right now, today in Canada, we have the highest per person immigration in the entire world. We get the lowest amount for all our resources, a tremendous amount, a massive large country with only 40 million people. You get the lowest value for your resources per capita in the entire world. You've replaced segregated and fully engaged apartheid South Africa, 1993's model. You've replaced it. Canada fits that role to take care of the Commonwealth. It used to be South Africa's job. It's yours now. Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh run it exactly as that apartheid regimes did. Liberal, conservative, Labour Party. What do you have in Canada? Liberal, Conservative, New Democrat Party, Labour Party. The three main players, they float back and forth. They had other parties like Bloc 2. They had a national party just like the Bloc 2. They even had a national Nazi party too. Big surprise there. This is Canada. It's real, and we're corrupt. One of the most corrupt nations in the world. This was the birth. These kinds of nations birth communism. They birth radical socialism because people are running to get equality. Because pyramid schemes don't work. We all know that. Who doesn't understand that no matter where you go in the world, in any corporate setting, any kind of fabrically created design of any kind of system or society, Pyramid schemes don't work. They lead to financial collapse. They lead to ruins. They've never worked. But that is exactly what we're in. So is India. Go look it up. You'll even see the British Raj, who created their system of caste today, 1948. They didn't get rid of any of the crown attachments. Look at the Sikhism religion. I don't have a problem with Sikhs, but I have a problem with Sikhs who pretend to be NDP leaders who are just liberals or conservatives that aren't really labor. They didn't care about freedom of association. They do the bidding of the first class because that's the religion. Worship the employer. Why are you running a union? Why are you running a Labour Party that isn't about labor? Because clearly today it wasn't about labor. Pierre Poilievre doesn't say a word about what just transpired and how he could have been Prime Minister. He kept it all in secret. In fact, he met with the Sikhs in Ontario. Massive group of them talking about how great lions they are. Lions of the industry. Go look at his Twitter. Go watch his video. He's got his little cute little blue Sikh hat to wear to pretend that he's Sikh now too. This is the creep and gross situation of our crown politicians. No different than South Africa up to 1993. All of apartheid South Africa, where they raped, pillaged and plundered on behalf of a British Empire that's not supposed to be here. Those systems birth communism and serious socialism. They always do. Go look at the whole history of the world. They always have. We're being cheated, lied to, manipulated, fleeced, robbed, raped, pillaged by our crusty, no-good politicians. And none of them were any good for anybody today. We didn't see any honesty. We didn't see any integrity. We certainly didn't have any accountability. We saw a flip on rules of governance. We saw a flip on rules on how to govern. We were cheated. We were cheated of a fallout, a serious fallout, where a no-confidence vote should have transpired. But we were all cheated out of it. Undemocratically and absolutely autocratically. Not a word from anybody, not a word from any media. Only you can go on the socialist website, World Socialist website. Go look at it. That's all your communists, all your civil law socialists, all your Leninists, all your Marxists, and they will tell you what they know to be what Canada is and what Canada just did today. Go read it for yourselves. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. That's my video. Share, share, share. Learn what we are. It was called the British Beehive. I learned that too. 1832 is the first one. Then you can look at it, 1948. India caste. Go look at the Human Development Indexes. You know why UK is so large? Because it has 73 nations who plug it full of money. They plug it full of money. That country, its indexes would fall. Its poverty indexes would shoot through the roof if it wasn't for the Commonwealth, meaning the raping of slaves and savages. As it's always been, and it led to World War I, World War II. UK's not the only one. It was Germany, it was Spain, it was Portugal, it was Denmark, it was Japan. We can go on through all the dirty, filthy, caste system constitutional monarchies that led to colonial wars. The worst human atrocities in all of modern history. Even prehistory. You can't find the scale and magnitude of that kind of evil. Nazi Germany in such a short time, British Empire over its course, Spain, Portugal, slavery, depravity, human misery, the Dark Ages. You can't find that stuff repeated except for going back many thousands of years. You've got to go back many thousands of years to find that kind of level of human depravity. But yet here we are today. It's a good thing. Let's just keep going. It's never worked in thousands and thousands of years. Why are we allowing it to continue? Share, share, share. Get it out there. Conservatives, no other people in Canada were as cheated as hard as you were. And in fact, cheated by Pierre Poilievre himself. Not a peep, not a word. You can all Google. You can all Google search all of Canada and the world of constitutional monarchies, definitions on no confidence votes and what they mean in customary law. Because it's not written in Canada. It comes from the British Empire. And clearly, Trudeau made a mistake. Singh couldn't back him up. So they took away the democratic rights of all of those union members and said, you are no good subjects and savages, and that's all you'll ever be whenever we say you are. And Pierre Poilievre zipped his lip and went the other way, betrayed everybody in his party. This was an end of the government completely. Had the government even operated at an ounce of its customary laws, an ounce of its claimed democracy. But it never did. And there are no rules of governance. Clearly today, this morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, there are no rules of governance. There's no accountability. And absolutely, there will never, ever be you, the people. It's you, the subjects, you, the savage. We just watched Canada's largest union fall hard. And if that's any markers to what's going to come of private sector union, non-union alike, other of the public sector, if it's any indication as the largest one in Canada, we can expect exploitation of all of our jobs by the third world, largely, exponentially, and there will be no resistance, none whatsoever. You will take inflation right into your bosom, into your family. And I can tell you, at the rate of loss just that union took, without a vote, without a peep, without any ounce of true democracy, full-on autocratic, dictatorial, socialist, national socialist, fascist style. With that being allowed to occur and that happening, by absolutely 2038, you will not have anything but a majority of every child in every school on average across all of Canada will be first generation immigrant to Canada. Think about that. Our human index is slowly wheeling down. Our poverty index is slowly going up. We've dropped considerable places. And as we match up with India, and it's such bigger population, it will hardly move up, but we will move down as long as that ticks up. We're the ones going down the hardest, the fastest. Look at the last 3 years. Our education says it all. We're being bamboozled. We're being screwed. That's my video. Bye now.